The state cross country meet takes place this weekend in Fort Dodge, and once again, the walk-on boy is going to be at the state meet. 30th appearance as a program, sixth straight year. Head coach Tara Stein joining us. And Tara, I know you're focused on this weekend, but you look at the history of this program. You've been successful enough that many of us probably on the outside take the success for granted. But how do you keep up this standard as a program?
I think it takes kids, younger kids buying into the program and seeing the success that we have, and they want to be part of that special group. So I feel very privileged and honored to have the opportunity to continue coaching this program. As I, myself ran for Walk On way back when. And so, yeah, just getting those younger kids around the upperclassmen and seeing the experience and getting down to Fort Dodge and watching and cheering the older kids on and gives them a little extra drive to want to be able to do that themselves in the future.
As for this year's group, what's made it a successful group?
We have a nice combination of upperclassmen and younger classmen. And, I was just looking this morning here before I got on with you, and what I have four of my guys from last year's squad ran at the state meet. One was our alternate. And then amongst that, not only having a state meet experience at the cross country side of things, but then also getting to experience that on the Blue Oval down at Drake in the spring. All of that ties into, continuing to build and, wanting to get back to state to keep that streak going and to continue to build on the legacy that we've built here and walk on over the years.
And one of your top individuals, probably one of your more experienced kids, in Brandon Leppert. He was runner-up at the state qualifier, has had another great year for you. How has he kind of set the tone for the program?
It's always fun to see how our upperclassmen and seniors, especially, kind of build on that and gain and take over that leadership role. And he has obviously been our front runner every meet this season, finishing very high in every meet that we've been at. And the guys just kind of look up to him and they follow his lead.
And when you look at, you touched on kind of getting the young kids involved, getting them hungry, getting them the desire to have success at a high level. That doesn't just happen. How does that happen?
You have to, kind of instill upon them the importance of being committed to the program and realizing that it's going to take hard work and dedication for them to be able to maybe experience some of those similar things that the students ahead of them. I do like the way we have our program set up with it being a 7-12 program. And so it's always neat to see the kids build those relationships and see the interactions of those seventh and eighth graders with those high school students. You just don't see that in other programs, other sports. And so it's a neat thing. And when those kids can see that and, it, like I said, it makes them kind of thirsty and it gives them that extra drive to be like, hey, you know what? That's pretty cool. I want to do that someday. And what's it going to take? It takes following those steps, those footsteps that have been put in place ahead of them to, make that happen.
As you get ready for Friday morning in Fort Dodge, you mentioned four of your guys ran there last year, and you had another as an alternate last year. How much do you rely on those guys to kind of lead the way for the other guys that are there for the first time?
They definitely, whether they ran there once or twice, or were just down there to cheer on the squad a time or two, it definitely helps to kind of ease and calm, I think, some of those nerves. And so you just kind of approach it. I realize it's the biggest meet of the season, but it is essentially just another meet that we have to go out and, prepare for, warm up, kind of go through those similar routines and habits of any other meet day.
How is Fort Dodge as a course similar to maybe other courses that you've ran this year? How is it different?
Fort Dodge is definitely a little more challenging than probably the last few courses that we've ran this year, but it is a good course. You see, fast and record times ran there year in and year out. I don't know if you can give it a fair comparison to any meet that we have ran recently, but just knowing how we've kind of built on from Southwind to a conference at Elkader, then to Owine, and then now being ready to face that Fort Dodge course, I like where we're sitting.
And I know kind of your postseason was adjusted a little bit with a different date for a conference meet this year than in years past, and maybe a little smaller window between the conference meet and the state qualifying meet. How did you handle that from a practice and a training perspective?
It just took a little, tweaking here and there. But in all honesty, like once we get through that, the beginning part of our season where we do have several meets in a short time span, then we kind of get to where we go Tuesday to Tuesday for a stretch. And then it was just merely now making that change Thursday to Thursday for those last couple weeks. So I didn't really feel that it was anything major. It was just making some minor adjustments to make it work. And so far, so good.
And how do you manage this week as you get ready for Friday from a training perspective?
Here again, like this is just our second time since they've switched to the 2-day state meet format where we've ran on Saturday. So it's kind of looking at and kind of seeing maybe what has worked with our training for that week leading up to a Saturday, and now approaching it again from a Friday standpoint. So just maybe making those minor adjustments to make sure that we get, kind of refine some of those skills, but then also still get in, kind of cut back on some of the intensity per se, so that we're ready for Friday morning.
And is this week pretty much the same year in and year out as you get ready for a state meet, or does it change at all based on the personnel that you have?
Uh, it's very similar, but I do, make some adjustments to fit kind of my personnel, so to speak.
And what's it going to take to have as good of a day as you possibly can come the state meet in Fort Dodge?
If we can build on how we've kind of built on the last several meets, and get down there and get a good warm up in, get ourselves mentally prepared for the morning. I think the sky's the limit.
And when you talk about mental preparation, getting ready for the meet, what goes into that?
Each guy kind of figures out what works for them to kind of get in the zone, so to speak. So they just kind of figure out, they have their normal warm-ups each meet. They get together as a group, but then there's also that time where, they're kind of just focused in on whatever it takes for them. And it looks a little different for each individual, but it's just kind of, doing what they need to do, and figuring that out. And that's where the senior leadership, those upperclassmen, set that tone, so that those younger kids can kind of learn and develop what works for them over the years.
All right, Tara, it's been a great season for your program. Once again, hopefully it can be that much greater come this weekend. We wish you best of luck as you make your way down to Fort Dodge once again.
Thank you, Darren. Have a good one.
Tara Stein, head coach of the Walk-On Boys, sixth straight year at Fort Dodge, 30th qualification as a program.